And welcome, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order, May 19th, 2026, and welcome all our members of the public that are here this evening in the gallery to join us this evening, and we'll welcome those that are participating safely from home, and welcome our staff that are here this evening to provide us facts and information that will help us make the best decisions on behalf of the residents of South Huron. All members of council are here, so welcome to you as well, and we'll ask everyone to now please rise for O Canada. Please be seated. And just a reminder to make sure everyone ensures that their cell phones are turned off or on mute, with the exception, of course, of our volunteer firefighters. And we'll begin our meeting with our land acknowledgement. As we gather, we are reminded that the municipality of South Huron is situated on Treaty 29 land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people today. And as a community, we have a responsibility to honor and respect this territory's significance for the Indigenous peoples who lived and continue to live upon it, whose practices and spiritualities were tied to the land and continue to develop in relationship to the territory and its other inhabitants today. In the spirit of reconciliation and truth, we acknowledge the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples on whose traditional territory that we are meeting. And we'll move on to item number 2. Ms. Basula-Carlson, please.
That South Huron Council approves the agenda as amended.
And a mover for that, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof from members of council. Are there any disclosures at this time? And not seeing, we move on to item 4, which there is no presentation, no delegation under 5, no public meeting under 6, and we move to 7.1. Ms. Basula-Carlson.
That South Huron Council adopts the minutes of the regular council meeting of May 4th, 2026 as printed and circulated.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Dietrich, second by Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. 8 and then 9.1, please.
That South Huron Council receives plan and report dated May 11th, 2026, part law control exemption application, SHU PLC 01-2026, Solhaven.
And we have a mover for that, please. Moved by Councillor Oak, moved, second by Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Next item, please.
That South Huron Council receives staff report ESD 12-2026, renewal of municipal drinking water system license and drinking water works permit for information.
And a mover for that, please. Councillor McLeod-Haggett moves, seconded by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Next item, please.
That South Huron Council receives staff report ID 09-2026, Thomas Street flooding concerns for information.
And a mover for that. Councillor Neeb moves, seconded by Councillor McLeod-Haggett. Any discussion? Councillor Neeb, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor Finch. And I'm just wondering if staff could just provide a high level kind of overview of this, because I think based on my understanding that there will be work completed sometime in the future with our capital planning. And I just wanted to double check to see we knew exactly when that would be.
And who would like to take that? Mr. Giverson, would you be so pleased to take that for us?
Through you, Mayor Finch. Absolutely, I would love to take that question. So to give a brief overview, When these concerns were raised, they were fairly serious concerns about flooding on Thomas Street, including what the former town of Exeter, what they did and what they didn't do. So there was a very thorough review that was conducted of the 1970 BM Ross report, which that report had a lot of very critical information in. But we wanted to make sure that council and the public were provided with the best information that's available through a very thorough research of the archives, that all the immediate recommendations that were in that report were addressed in the early 70s. The key one was there was a new sanitary sewer outlet for Thomas Street, but it wasn't built on Thomas Street. It was built on Marlborough, Wellington, over to Carling, made its way down Church Street to the William Street sewage pumping station. But that report also had several hot spots in Exeter that were addressed at that time. Flooding on William Street, flooding in Pride Boulevard, on Riverside Drive, north of the river. So it was a very exhaustive report. So we gave it its due to have a very thorough review conducted by the consultant. Now, the consultant was already working on our I&I investigation. So this formed part of that overall plan to reduce I&I in Exeter. So some of the other concerns that were raised about the competency of the staff here at the town of Exeter in the 1970s, I also wanted to put that to rest because they immediately addressed the issue. They spent a lot of money, a lot of time addressing all these issues. They put good practices in place to address management of the sanitary sewer system, which you have to realize by 1970 was still fairly new. A comprehensive sanitary sewer system wasn't installed in Exeter until 1962. So it took some time to mature, but that 1970 report was a wake-up call that they needed better record keeping, a more comprehensive approach to do their planning through the master planning process. So they conducted all of those things, and we've carried on that legacy for decades in a very business-like approach to managing the sanitary sewer system. So as far as the future goes, moving forward, Thomas Street has been on the total reconstruction of Thomas Street has been on the 10-year capital forecast for a few years. The priorities do get adjusted from time to time as other projects take priority, but it is still coming up in the next couple of years, and it will be subject to the next budget discussion with council. So it'll be part of the 2027 budget discussions on exactly when Thomas Street is rebuilt. But it is in the plan. It has been planned for quite some time. The preliminary engineering is all complete on that project. And as part of the overall project, any continued flooding issues like basement brackets will be addressed as part of the project itself. So a very typical place where we get high I&I in our sanitary sewer system is coming from private property. Because you're going to look at all the work that's been done on the sanitary sewer system in Exeter for decades of separating the system, building storm sewers, building separate sanitary sewer systems. There's been a mountain of work that's been done on the Exeter sewage system. So some of the remaining challenges is to get separation on private property. So when Thomas Street does come up for reconstruction, we'll go at it and try to sort that out to find any of these cross connections that are allowing inflow and infiltration to come into the sanitary sewer system. So thank you for that.
Thank you very, very much for a very comprehensive answer, Mr. Giverson. It was well done. Any other questions at this time on that? Not see, Councillor Oak, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I guess in the budget, we had it in 2025, we had it in the budget for 2027 to be done. And then in this year's budget, it's been pushed to 2028. Now I know it wasn't included in the 4 or 5 streets that got deferred when we did the connecting link. So I'm just wondering why it got pushed out another year. It wasn't part of the connecting link 4 or 5 streets that got pushed out an extra year. Just wondered the change there.
Through you, Mayor Finch. Yes, when when the connecting link, when we were successful in getting the connecting link grants, that necessitated a reprioritizing the street reconstruction programs because there is only so much money to pay for the infrastructure. So we did defer, not only just defer the streets that were planned for the following year, the entire program had to be moved back. So Thomas Street was sitting just beyond where those 5 streets were deferred. So if we're continue to be successful with connecting link grants, then we'll be proposing the same thing to council. So when Thomas Street comes up for reconstruction, as I said, it would be part of the budget process, and it's at the will of council if you wish to continue to defer to make these projects affordable that are grant funded. But that'll be entirely up to council. But 2027 budget discussion will be the next opportunity to talk about priorities and the impact on that.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Giverson. Any other questions? Okay, not seeing. We have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Next item, 9.4.1, please.
That South Huron Council received staff report FIN 10-2026, the 2026 first quarter operating budget variance report for information.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, second by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carries with 7. Thank you. 9.4.2, please.
That South Huron Council received staff report CL 09-2026, request for major drain repair and improvement, Brock Hearn Municipal Drain 2026. And that South Huron Council hereby appoints William J. Dietrich, P.Eng. from Dietrich Engineering Limited as the municipal drainage engineer to prepare a report for the repair and improvement of the Brock Hearn Municipal Drain under Section 78 of the Drainage Act.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Dietrich, seconded by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. 9.4.3, please.
The South Huron Council received staff report CL 10-2026, municipally significant event designation request, Kirkton Rumble, and the South Huron Council deemed the 2026 Kirkton Rumble as municipally significant for the purpose of the applicant obtaining a special occasion permit.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Oak, seconded by Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. Next item, 9.4.4.
The South Huron Council received staff report CL 11-2026, the 2026 Exeter Ram Rodeo, and that the special event permit 2026 Exeter Ram Rodeo is approved in principle, and that the special event application and administration fees in the amount of $816 be waived, and that an exemption to the municipal noise bylaw for Saturday, August 8th from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. be approved, and that municipal staff provide assistance and resources as outlined in the special event application, and that overnight camping be permitted over the rodeo weekend on the South Huron Recreation Centre grounds for the rodeo performers, and that South Huron Council declare the 2026 Exeter Ram Rodeo event to be municipally significant.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor McLeod Haggett. Any discussion? Councillor or Deputy, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I just like to say that I hope, and I'm sure we will have another great weather season for it. So far, we've been really, really lucky, and we have our applications ready to go. And so hopefully our sponsorships and hopefully we're good to go. So thanks.
Again, thanks, pass on our thanks to the committee. It's a lot of work being a volunteer and they do a lot of work for the municipality. Councilor Roque, you had something?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just for clarification, did that say 2 p.m. or 2 a.m.? Because in the minutes or in the agenda, it still said 2 p.m.
Yes, that was a typo, so I said 2 a.m.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? We have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. 8, next item would be 9.4.5.
The South Huron Council received staff report CL 12/2026 procedural bylaw review update, and the council approved the proposed revisions set out in the attached red line version of the procedural bylaw, and that the bylaw be brought back for the required 3 readings.
And a mover for that, moved by Councilor Neeb, seconded by Councilor McLeod Haggett. Any discussion? Councilor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yes, okay, so there was one piece in the proposed procedural bylaw, which was to move the timing of our actual council meetings and public meetings from 5 o'clock for a regular council and up to 4 for a public meeting. And just wanted to voice my opinion on that. I believed that the reason we had regular meetings at 6 o'clock in the evening was basically to facilitate the public's ability to come to a council meeting. And I did see in the some of the verbiage around this recommendation that there were other councils around that also start earlier in the day, but there really aren't any close by us in our region. Lambton Shore starts at 7 o'clock. Blue Water is 6 or 6:30, so is Lucan. And I appreciate that we're on the one hand looking at expenses for staff, but then on the other hand, being able to have the public actually come and participate in the gallery after work is important to me. And yeah, so I know that some years ago we moved it from 9 o'clock in the morning all the way to 6 o'clock at night. And I just want to express my view that I'd like to see things stay the way they are.
Okay, would the member of the committee like to respond or any? Councilor Roque, go ahead, please.
Yes, I would be in agreement. There was a reason that we moved it to 6, both for council members that might be working full-time and to get here. 4 o'clock for a public meeting if they're working, but it's also for transparency for the public so that they could attend. And that was part of the reasons that we did change it for sure. So I'm in agreement to that.
Deputy, you have a comment?
Thank you. Yes, and I like the idea of moving it forward to 5. I guess I look at staff for one thing. I understand it's their job, but it still puts more time on them to be here, and that hour at home would make quite a difference to them. So I'm in agreement with them moving it to 5.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Neeb.
And I initially shared some of the concerns, but I think one of the things that came to mind, and I don't know if now's the right time to mention it, is if having the public be able to make delegations to council and is important, which I think it is. And if we want to have that, is it possible that we could amend the procedural bylaw to have delegations at a specific time in the meeting that we know would be towards the end? Like, is that a possibility, or is that, I'm just trying to see if we can figure out a way of making that work, because I know some staff do start at 6 a.m. and sometimes our council meetings, we've had meetings that go till 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. And so that I do empathize with that. And I think it is important for staff to be able to contribute in their job in a meaningful way without having to work 14 to 16-hour days. I don't think that's realistic or fair either. So I think there's probably a middle ground maybe that we can come to.
Perhaps our staff could respond to that.
So through the chair, so the procedural bylaw does outline the process or the agenda items. So if that is something council wanted to consider, we could have the bylaw amended to put delegations further on in the meeting. That's something council could consider.
Okay, Councillor Oak.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and that's a possibility, other than some of the delegations don't want to sit through the meeting. They want to do their delegation and then, go move on too. So it disrupts if there's people coming in and out all the time sort of thing too. But that is a possibility. The other side on the agenda was I was going to bring up the idea of having the closed session as the very last item, because there's times where we go to a closed session and then there's bylaws after, and some of the people that are in the audience are waiting for the bylaws to be passed from an item that was earlier on the agenda, and so then they have to sit around for the closed session, and maybe the closed session could be near or right at the end and have the bylaws before it sort of thing. So as another idea.
Any other comments? Councillor McLeod Haggett.
Well, I do like the 5 o'clock start time. I just think this is something that this bylaw piece, maybe just because in just over 5 months, we could have a totally different council here that if they work a 9 to 5 job, it might impede in what their work schedule is. So this might be a decision for the next council to make if we were going to change the start times.
Any other comments at all at this time? Councillor Oak.
One last thing, I just saw the curfew extension, as opposed to unanimous. I think majority for every other vote we have is majority rules. So the unanimous, I'm not sure that needs to stay as unanimous, and maybe should be a majority vote as well.
Ms. Masukalis, any comment?
Through the mayor, it sounds like there's a few questions outstanding or a bit more discussion. It might make sense to set a committee of the whole, so council can bring back this and discuss it through. I know we do have another item for a committee of the whole, which was the committee's discussion. So, and then I think that option is as well in the this report Alex identified. So it could be that it's a split of the recommendation, and it's received, and then a committee of the whole be set up. That's an option for council to consider.
Why don't we explore that option, then we can split that. Everyone in favor of doing that? So Councillor McLeod.
Do we deal with the updating the bylaws now for the strong mayor powers so that those bylaws are brought up to date, and then deal with the other issues at a committee of the whole, or wait and do it all?
Through the chair, so preferably if we could do it as one revision to the bylaw. The information provided in the bylaw is just referencing the act. So the act still takes precedent, even if it's not included in the procedural bylaw. So this was just for quick reference. So ideally, it's all done at one time if possible.
Councillor Vaughn.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up one other thing while we're thinking about committee of the whole or no. Back in January, when we were solicited for some feedback, I did prepare some, but I don't know what I did. I didn't actually send it along. And so what I wanted to see in this procedural bylaw was a little bit more of a detailed description as to what is the difference between a question of privilege and versus a point of order, because there are explanations in the procedural bylaw, but they're really not clear when you would use one versus another in my mind. Also, too, when we have used either privilege or point of order, we have had occasion where we have the clerk has relied on Robert's rules in certain situations, but we don't really have when we would invoke a Robert's rule as a guiding document. And so I think from a procedure perspective, maybe we could do a little bit of work or have some discussion about how we spruce that up a bit.
Okay, so why don't we split this then to receive the report and then have it deferred, the rest of it deferred to a committee of the whole. Is everyone satisfied with that? And we'll proceed procedurally here. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
So the motion was that South Huron Council receive staff report CL 12/2026 procedural bylaw review update, and council approve the proposed revisions set out in the attached red line version of the procedural bylaw, and that the bylaw be brought back for the required 3 readings. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor McLeod-Higgett. Council called for a split. So the motion would be that South Huron Council receive staff report CL 2026 procedural bylaw review update.
Okay, so it's so moved and seconded. Do we have any further discussion on that part? If not, we'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Madam Clerk.
And then that the discussion regarding the proposed revisions and bylaw be brought back or deferred to a committee of the whole.
Council or Deputy Mayor moves, seconded by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion on that? Not seeing. Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. All right, next item, we notice the motion. Are we aware of any notice of motion, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Very good. 11.1, any comments under 11.1? Councillor Neeb, go ahead, please.
Yep, thank you, Mayor Finch. So we received a delegation from the United Way of Perth Huron at our last meeting, and I can remember 8 years ago when we first started contributing towards the Connection Center. The one thing that I think maybe to highlight for the community and for council too is the ability of the United Way to get a number of partners around the table that the municipality would not have been able to do so alone, as well as the impact that they're making with all of those partners. If we aren't investing in this MOU moving forward, I think we're going to see issues in other areas. So I think it'd be wise, I think, and practical to provide further investment into this MOU moving forward, but I think also to match with inflation. So I believe it was 30,000 over the last 4 years, maybe 35,000, just to recognize the increasing needs that we have in the community, and also the fact that we have a really solid and reliable partner that is delivering a lot of these services.
Okay, thank you. Again, the Connection Center was created here and it's being copied across different municipalities across Ontario. Councillor Vaughn, you had something?
Yes, thank you. I would agree with Councillor Neeb that the United Way and the Connection Center and many of the partners have been tremendous in providing supports to individuals who need them in our community. And I think that's great. But I also think back to that time when we had our mayor's task force at the time, and we also were working with the United Way and just getting the whole community's Connection Center up and running. And at that time, the United Way had issued a letter to Dan Best, basically talking about the partnerships that that we had, and also talking about the Connection Center and some of the supports that they were trying to provide around priorities for housing and so on. So when I think back to the delegation that Brian gave just last week, I think that was great, but I think it was a very high level overview of what is in store for the future. And there are certain elements that I would like to see us retain here in South Huron, the Connection Center being one of them. And also too, I'm somewhat intrigued by the housing discussion that he sort of briefly touched on, but didn't really go into any detail. So I'm wondering if there's a possibility that we could have a staff report to come back to council that basically talks to what we might expect for our investment, because these are taxpayer dollars that we're spending. And so we're making a charitable donation on behalf of taxpayers. And I think we need a little bit more detail about exactly what are the priorities that we are going to be supporting along with the United Way and partners for the next 5 years if we're making a sizable commitment like this. So I also don't see that as just a staff report, but I also think it's fair for us to go back to the United Way and ask them for something a little more specific in terms of what they have in mind over the next 5 years of this pledge. So that's my thoughts.
Councillor Oak.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I agree. Now, I believe from the delegation, there was that you're working with the United Way to come back with a report. My understanding from the last meeting that you were going to come back with a report. So this just flesh it out a little bit more to these points that Councillor Vaughn brought up, I think would be great.
Yeah, through the mayor, that is correct. There will be a report coming back, and I'll certainly invite United Way either to come or to provide more details.
Okay, everyone's satisfied with that then? We don't need another motion for a report. We have one forthcoming. Very good. Thank you very much. Anything else under 11? Okay, not seeing any. 11.2, Ms. Masula Carlson. Sorry, you have something? Go ahead.
Sorry, through you, Mayor Finch. I wanted to touch on the BIA delegation that they did. Just to update council. So I did, Rebecca and myself, Caroline and Jamie met 2 weeks ago now. So we had a really good meeting, good discussion, came up with kind of a plan going forward. So just from this, I would just like to make a recommendation that staff bring back a municipality BIA consultation and engagement procedure for Main Street Connecting Link infrastructure projects to establish a clear and consistent process for consultation and engagement between the municipality and the BIA in relation to the approved Connecting Link projects.
Okay, so you want to make that a motion then?
Yes, please.
Yep. Wait for Madam Clerk when she's ready.
That staff bring back municipality BIA consultation and engagement procedure for Main Street Connecting Link infrastructure projects to establish a clear and consistent process for consultation and engagement between the municipality and business improvement area BIA in relation to the approved Connecting Link projects, moved by Councillor McLeod-Haggett.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Vaughn seconds. Is there a discussion? Deputy, you have something? I see you reaching for your mic.
Sorry. Thank you. I just wondered if the contractor is going to be involved in this before it starts, because they're the ones that have to do all this work. So I don't quite understand what this motion means for me.
Ms. Masula Carlson, would you be able to comment?
Yeah, through the mayor. This is more on the engagement of, it's not to do with the infrastructure construction per se. It is more on the engagement, the marketing, as well as providing a draft design to the BIA for input in case there's any considerations that they can provide recommendations or input on ways to make the downtown area more business friendly. So it is more of an input and advice, not a construction. The construction will be done by the contractor and staff. At the end of the day, it is a municipal project, but the BIA are partners, and we're looking forward for to their input.
Thank you. That explains it a lot better. Thanks.
Councillor McLeod-Haggett.
So through you, Mayor Finch, if I can just elaborate then through you, to you, Deputy Mayor, is this would also allow for the BIA to give input on for the beautification that they're continuously trying to do in the downtown core to try to draw people to come and shop local.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, not seeing. We have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries a 7. Thank you. Next item, 11.2, please.
Let South Huron Council submit an AMO delegation request to the Ministry of Rural Affairs.
And a mover for that, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor McLeod-Haggett. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries a 7. Thank you. 12.1.
Let South Huron Council set a public meeting regarding the Community Improvement Plan, CIP, on June 15th, 2026 at 5 p.m.
And a mover for that, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Councillor Oak?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wondering, the question I have is that's an hour before the regular council meeting and I know in the past with our zoning bylaw review and stuff, we ran out of time, and I guess I just wondering the thoughts are on that timeline. You know, because I want to make sure that we have enough time to, you know, thoroughly have a discussion, and I'm just worried about the 1 hour timeline.
Thank you. Through the mayor, if we're getting close to 1:45 the meeting and council decides to defer, we can always defer to another public meeting. If there's a lot of, we have had a lot of correspondences in, so I'm not sure how many in person we're going to have in addition, but who knows?
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments at this time? Okay, we have a mover and a seconder for 12.1. No further discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. 12.2.
That South Huron Council set a special meeting regarding development charges study on May 25th, 2026 at 4 p.m.
And a mover for that, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Mayor and Councillor comments. Are there any comments or announcements at this time from members of council? Councillor Vaughn.
Yeah, I just want to say that last week we went to the South Huron Economic Summit. Well, I'm going to call it an economic summit. I think it had a different name, but I just want to say that it was an excellent morning. It was very educational. Our staff did a tremendous job. So kudos to Stacy for facilitating. She did a fantastic job. And so did Chris, I forget Chris's last name, from the county, Chris Watson from the county, who was sort of brought in the 11th hour to facilitate. The ladies that were at my table, because I happened to be at a table full of ladies, thought it was tremendous. They felt very good about the discussions we were having about transportation and about opportunities with the trades. They offered some suggestions for what we could do in the next quarter when we have our next session. I pointed out to them that we haven't done this before, so we're not likely to have it every quarter. But it was a good testament that they really felt it was a time worth spent. So thanks to the staff and to our CIO for putting that on.
It's well done. Yeah, thanks again to our staff. It was also in attendance, and talking to Stacy afterwards, she was quite pleased with it. And talking to Frank Kirkmans afterwards from the Port of Goderich, he was very pleased to be here. And of course, he recognizes, you know, municipal boundaries are for municipalities, not for communities and not for workforce. And having the Huron Shores Area Transit to bring people in. Rob Reed, of course, from McDonald's, spoke how positive that is for his business and others. So it was very well done. Thanks again to our staff and our CEO and everyone who was involved with it from South Huron. It just really went over very, very well. Thanks again. Any other comments under item number 12 or 13? Okay, not seeing. We go on to communications.
Okay. 14.1. 14.2.
Bull.
Oh, 14.1, Paul, please.
14.3. 14.4. 14.5.
Bull.
14.6.
Bull.
14.7. 14.8. 14.9. 14.10. 14.11. 14.12. 14.13, which is 0.1 and 0.2.
Okay, Councillor Oak, go ahead. 14.1.
Before we start, did anybody call or pull 14.8? I'm wondering if we could just have a little chat about that.
Okay, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to congratulate everyone that was involved in getting this recognition that we've satisfied all the 13 program requirements. So just pass along the congratulations to the team that did that. So thank you.
Great, thank you. And 14.2, Councillor Neeb, go ahead, please.
Yep, thank you through the chair. So this is a request from the Blue Water Tug of War team. They're looking to utilize some community facilities, and they're asking to waive for the municipality to waive fees. I believe it's important that council supports the Blue Water Tug of War team and their request to waive facility usage fees. In fact, there are two other items on today's agenda from organizations requesting fee waivers: the South Huron Trail Run and the Dashwood Men's Club, both which are deserving causes and organizations. I know we've had discussions about our facility use policy, but I remain bothered by council's previous decision to deny Trees and Me Childcare the use of the South Huron Rec Center kitchen fridges on the grounds that they are not a registered charity, while we currently consider waiving fees for other organizations that are also not charities. While I respect council's decision, arbitrarily and inconsistently enforcing this policy creates a double standard and ultimately fails to serve the public interests. I think we all agree we want organizations using our facilities that our residents pay for to create vibrancy across all our communities. Given that council is repeatedly waiving these fees, it suggests our current facility is no longer effective. I know we're already in the process of reviewing the policy, but I think it's important to bring that to light that we have been inconsistent in enforcing that policy. And if we're going to be inconsistent, maybe it's the policy that's the issue.
Thank you. So you'll make a motion to endorse them?
I would like to, yes.
Very well. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
The South Huron Council approves the waiver of rental fees for the Dashwood Community Center for the July 20th, 2026 Youth Blue Water Tug of War Spaghetti Supper.
So moved, Councillor Neeb.
So moved.
Is there a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor seconds. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. Next item will be 14.5. Councillor Neeb, go ahead, please.
So this is the Dashwood Men's Club. They're requesting to waive fees for the Dashwood Community Center for a few events. So I'd like to waive those fees.
And Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready.
That South Huron Council waives the rental fees for Dashwood Community Center and the fees regarding fencing, picnic tables, and garbage disposal for the Dashwood Men's Club June 2026 Steak Night and September 2026 Wing Night.
So moved, Councillor Neeb. So moved.
So moved.
Is there a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor seconds. Is there any discussion? And call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. And 14.6, Councillor Neeb, go ahead, please.
So this is a request from the South Huron Trail Run. They're looking to utilize the lobby and washroom of the rec center. And I'd like to make a motion to waive those fees.
Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
That South Huron Council waive the rental fees outlined in South Huron Friends of the Trail May 7, 2026 request for August 30th, 2026 South Huron Trail Run.
So moved.
So moved.
Is there a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion? Councillor Oak, go ahead, please.
Just a question, and I'm supporting of the idea. There is the Asaba Bayfield Foundation. Is that like, I know this is the Friends of the Trail committee that they're raising funds for, but is that through the foundation, and the foundation would be a charitable organization already? Rebecca, could you comment?
Through the mayor, the foundation would be eligible for sure for the exemption. However, if this was brought by the Friends of the Trail.
Okay, so any further discussion? Councillor Neeb?
Given that we've just approved waiving the fees for 3 different organizations that are not charities, would anyone like to bring forward a reconsideration to allow the Trees and Me to utilize the fridges in the rec center over their summer program?
And we can go to that after we do this one here. If that's all right. Are there any other comments on this, what we're dealing with right now? Okay, if not, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. And we'll go through the rest of it here first, 14.8, and we'll come back to yours, Councillor Neeb. Councillor Vaughn, go ahead.
Yeah, so when I was reading through this letter, it looked like some good news stories were in there, especially in bringing, I guess more recently, the first year med students for a week for orientation. And but as I was reading through it, I was kind of confused. Do we have an MOU, or is this an ask to have an MOU for recruitment?
Through the mayor, we do have an MOU.
Okay,
Yes.
so we do.
We
So
do.
this wasn't an additional ask of any sort?
No, as part of their MOU, they provide a yearly report.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm meeting with them next week or in June, first week of June, taking the students around the county like I did the last
Great.
year. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so we'll go down back to Councillor Neeb. We're at the end of the 14 items here. So you want to talk about the Trees and Me?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Finch. I just wanted to bring back up, and I can't because I voted in favor of it. However, I do think it's important for council to note the inconsistency in how we just applied the policy. Considering too, we have been seeking out childcare providers within the municipality for quite some time, and we've heard from the public about the importance of it. I think the least that we could do as a municipality would be to provide usage of the fridges in the rec center kitchen. As council may recall, there was a request to council a few weeks ago, and it was unfortunately turned down.
I'll turn to Madam Clerk. She's going to review that and get back to us procedurally how we proceed from there. Councillor McLeod Haggett, you got something?
Through you, Mayor, can I just ask Jeremy a quick question about that while she's looking at the procedure?
I think for record keeping, we'll allow her
Just
to
wait.
capture this first and then respond.
So through the chair, there was a resolution that was defeated at the April 7th council meeting. And that was that South Huron Council waived the kitchen rental fee for Trees and Me for school 2026 programming on April 24th and June 5th, as well as once a week in the summer months beginning July 3rd. In regards to the procedural bylaw for reconsideration, notices required, and it has to be to bring a motion to reconsider has to be a member who voted in the outcome. So whoever voted against that would bring it forward, and that would have to be passed by 2/3 of council. And then if that was passed, then a motion goes back on the table as if right before it was voted on to begin with for another vote.
Thank you. And we could suspend the procedural bylaw for this if council wished to. Is that correct?
Council can suspend the rules. That would also require a 2/3 vote.
Very good. Councillor McLeod Haggett, you had a comment?
Through you, Mayor Finch. Jeremy, can you just tell me the dollar value on what? I want to say it was like $1,300, but I can't recall. I did a quick calculation here that day when they were asking.
Through you, Mayor Finch, I don't have that information right away, and I don't believe, unless Amanda's online. There she is.
Welcome, Amanda. Do you have a response for us?
Yes, I believe with that request, it was $81.50 for a 4-hour rental at for the kitchen at South Huron. So times that by, and I forget off the top of my head how many days of requests that they had, but it was $81.50 for the rental.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? How would council like to proceed?
Through you, Mayor Finch, if we could just clarify the request, We have had some operational failures in the last few days with the cooler there. So if this does happen to be approved, we'll have to figure something out sooner than later. Either that or we'll have to bring a budget amendment back on the cooler. So I haven't even had time to discuss that with the CAO yet.
Councillor Oak.
I guess you were asking how do we proceed? I guess somebody that voted against it has to bring it back up and make a motion. So I can't do that because I voted in favor of it originally.
Mr. Sioux Calls, you have a comment?
And through the mayor, it can also happen at the next council meeting. I know for timing issues, it might be an issue, but a member of council can bring it back under new business and or items from previous minutes, and they could contact me or the clerk or the clerk.
Very well. That's how we'll leave it at this time then, if unless somebody wants to suspend the rules of procedural bylaw and proceed at this time, but I think it'd be best to contact our CEO and proceed in that way. Very well. Thank you. And Ms. Masoula Carlson, recommendation, please.
The South Huron Council received communication items not otherwise dealt with.
And a mover for that, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, second by Councillor Oak. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. There's no closed session, therefore no report from closed session under 16. We move to our bylaws under 17.1, please.
The South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 33, 2026, being a bylaw to provide for the adoption of the 2026 tax rates and to further provide for penalty and interest in default of payment thereof.
And a mover for that, please. Deputy Mayor moves, seconded by Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. 17.2.
The South Huron Council gives first, second, third, final reading to bylaw 34, 2026, being a bylaw to exempt certain lands from part lot control, being block 90, registered plan 22M35 in the municipality of South Huron in the county of Huron.
And a mover for that, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor Oak. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. 17.3.
The South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 35, 2026, being a bylaw to enter into a subdivision agreement between the municipality of South Huron and Windermere Community, 40T22002, Windermere Community Limited Subdivision.
And a mover for that, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Confirming bylaw.
The South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 36, 2026, being a bylaw to confirm matters addressed at the May 19th, 2026 council meeting.
And the mover for that, please. Councillor Neeb moves, seconded by Councillor Dietrich. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carries with 7. Thank you. And 19.
The South Huron Council hereby adjourn at 6:53 p.m. to meet again on June 1st, 2026 at 6 p.m. or at the call of the chair.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Neeb. No discussion. Call the question. All in favor. Thank you. And that carries. Thank you everyone for attending this evening.